Hello, welcome to the Real Estate Market Watch. I'm Bob Gibbs, and this is video 10, or our final video in our series, How to Find, Secure, and Close on Property. The video today is going to talk about the other things associated with closing escrow. In the last video, which is video 9, I talked about the inspections, the disclosures you're going to receive, and what to prepare yourself for. Make sure you read through those and make sure you ask a lot of questions. Don't just jump to conclusions, and make sure you understand what is being said. This video is really intended today to talk about the loan process of the escrow period. When we open escrow, at that point, and only at that point, can your lender actually give you a real good faith estimate, because they have to have a property address and a sales price and everything, so everything needs to be negotiated. At that point, what your lender will do is get what's called a preliminary title report from the title company, which makes sure that there's clear title on the property. They will submit all their documentation to the bank's underwriting department for review again. Then they will put together what's called a good faith estimate, and that's kind of a list of all the costs that you're going to have during the closing process. So if you have bank courier fees, if you have points you're paying to the lender, the cost of the home, the down payment, everything that you're going to have to come up with as a buyer's side in this process will be listed on that good faith estimate, and you'll get that. Then at that point, you have basically 24 hours or so to review it and ask any questions of the lender. And then at that point, and only at that point, can the lender legally order an appraisal of the home. So at that point, the lender will order an appraisal, and the appraiser will come out and appraise the home. Something to be aware of in this current market is, in many cases, especially in the areas where we're seeing prices start to go up a little bit, the appraisals have been coming in a little lower than the offer price. As your agent, I can consult with you and kind of go over your options in those cases, but that's just a slight word of warning. So appraisal will be ordered, appraisal comes back, assuming everything goes well, then all that stuff goes right back into the bank underwriting department, and then they look at the whole package, and then they make their final decision whether to lend on that property or not based on the new information that they have. That can take anywhere from, we actually ask for 17 days from a contingency perspective in most cases for loan and appraisal approval. That should be enough time. However, in these times, we're finding in some instances it's a little more difficult to get the appraiser out to the home, or it's taking the bank a little longer to go through their approval process just because they're backed up a little bit. So we always ask for 17 days. So assuming everything goes well, the bank gets your information and they approve it, then at that point we can then lift contingencies for the loan and appraisal. And so when contingencies are lifted on the home, then you're pretty much in. And what I mean by that is you put a deposit down, a good faith deposit down, when you put an offer in on a home. And actually you submitted a check to the title company took that check, actually deposited it in an escrow bank account, and it's just sitting there. Once contingencies are removed, that deposit now becomes at risk. So that's to say that after you remove contingencies, let's just give you an example. Let's just say contingencies have all been removed. You're about 4 or 5 days from actually closing on the property, and you decide, you know what, I don't want it anymore, or for whatever reason you decide you just want to move on. At that point, we would have to go back to the seller and say, buyer has decided that this isn't the right home for them, and this is the reasons. And then the seller actually can make a decision. They can just go ahead and release the deposit to you, and then everyone kind of moves on their way. Or they can decide that, we have some damages that we've incurred as a result of this, and we want the deposit. Then it becomes a negotiation as to how much of the deposit is, issued to each side. And if we can't come to an agreement, it goes to a mediator and then ultimately to an arbitrator to decide. So at that point, though, once you lift contingencies, you're basically in with the deposit being at risk. then it's kind of like a waiting period. We're just waiting for the remainder of the paperwork to be drafted up. The title company will order what's called loan docs. So they'll go to the lender and say, okay, we need all the documentation for the buyer to sign. The buyer will come in. You'll sign all the loan documentation. The seller will sign the deed and the home over. The escrow company then takes everything, and on closing day, they fund. So I shouldn't say on closing day. The day before we actually record it, everything gets funded. So the escrow company makes sure the money that goes to pay off the seller's home gets to them. Seller gets their proceeds. Everyone who's due to get paid gets paid on that day. And then the following day, typically, they go and record the new deed with you as owner, and you get your keys. It's really, while there's a lot of things going up and down and a lot of people involved during this this process, this whole escrow process, anyway, it takes typically on average anywhere from 30 to 45 days for the escrow. A lot of it is time waiting. A lot of it is negotiation back and forth. If issues came up with inspections, there is opportunities to go back and ask the seller to repair some things. So there's things going on during that whole process. Key is to mentally be prepared to not get too emotional about the process. It's hard, especially if you find a home you really love and it looks like things aren't going well during escrow. Really, things can change on a dime. And so the process with escrow is to stay positive, make sure you read everything you get, and you're going to get a lot. Understand, and if you don't understand, ask questions. If you don't understand the loan process, talk to the lender. You can talk to the title rep if you don't understand some of the fees and things that are coming at you. You can talk to me if you don't understand some of the things having to do with the purchase itself or the home itself. Or we can have you talk to the home inspector if there's questions about the inspection. So the people that are most successful getting through the whole home buying process are the people who are mentally prepared for it, who have an even keel to them, and when they look at data, they absorb it first before they react. And if they have questions, they ask and make sure they have their questions satisfied in terms of an answer before they really make a decision. At that point, your likelihood of being successful in getting into your home is very high. The people who are less successful are the ones who aren't mentally prepared for it. Small things in the inspection will come up and throw them off, or they may be expecting the home to be like a new house when it actually is a 30 or 40-year-old house. Those types of things come up. But if you're mentally prepared, make sure you absorb the information before you react. If you have questions, make sure you get your questions answered to your satisfaction. And I'm sure at that point you'll have a very smooth and a satisfying home buying experience. As always, while these videos are more detailed than most, they are kind of a high level. Always feel free to give me a call, email, or go on the website and ask for assistance there. And we have no doubt we can answer whatever questions you have. Thank you very much for watching this 10-part series. Hopefully it's been helpful to you. Again, any questions at all, please feel free to contact me at Bob Gibbs, and my phone number is 925-984-3992. Or you can always go on our website, www.therealestatemarketwatch.com. Happy home buying. Bye.